Psychic Dolphin Garage.
Hey everyone, welcome to Garbage In, Garbage Out. This week we are going to be talking about Avatar: The Way of Water. Avatar 2, Electric Boogaloo, aka Return of the James Cameron fandom. The cult of Cameron is strong. Joining me this week is Zach. Zach, how's it going, buddy?
Hey everybody, I'm thoroughly shaken, not stirred, after watching Avatar 2 in my 4DX theater.
Okay, see, this is something I actually kind of wanted to mention, was rather than asking you first, what did you think about the movie, I want to ask, how did you watch this movie? Because that's just as important as anything else with a James Cameron film.
Absolutely. I went the only way that you watch a James Cameron film, which is 4DX. And I got sprayed in the face. I had the rain dripped on me. The seats were on 10. Like,
Your ponytail connected into the seat like a USB port.
Yeah. It was fed Avatar straight into my brainstem. I normally I would describe those seats on a scale of like 1 to 5, but it was definitely a 10.
Perfect
this time around.
Yeah,
so not opening night. I went during the week, so I missed a lot of the weekend rush in the theater.
Well, I think that's also fine. You know, I went to go see it over the weekend. I was at the first showing, so I got like an absurdly cheap ticket. And it was me and a whole bunch of older people that were all out on like dates and things. And it was very, very cute. And I felt very, very much like the 247th wheel, basically, of the situation. But let me just kind of share a little bit of my thoughts on it, because I was surprised, honestly, by how good this movie was. Because like in January of 2022, I thought that maybe Avatar 2 was like a money laundering scheme or a scam. Like, I had my doubts about James Cameron, and I was wrong to doubt James Cameron, because I spent so much time enjoying James Cameron films of the past and wondering, like, why is this guy who has like such a strong director's mindset, who is visionary in so many different areas, focusing so much on just like his least compelling work. Like, it's the most basic of subtler adoption fantasy kind of shit. Like the narratives of the white savior complex, I think are very accurate for the first movie, especially. And I just was wondering, like, why is he doing this? And now I know, because I'm grateful to have been able to be alive to watch this movie on the big screen in 3D, because it's just a clip show of the best of James Cameron. Like, extraterrestrial anti-imperialism, yes. Mechs, yes. Maternal rage, yes. Are there ships crashing and capsizing? Absolutely. Are kids being threatened? It's not a James Cameron film unless kids are being threatened. You're seeing hallways filling with water, and you're getting even more water in it. Like, if you like James Cameron movies, I think you will love this film. If you liked Avatar, I think you will love this film. The people who don't like this movie, I understand if you don't like the story structure or you thought it was overly basic. And I think that's respectful. But on the technical side of things, I think it blows everything out of the water by such a degree that it raises up a fairly paint-by-numbers script and elevates it into something that is very, very good.
I think that, James Cameron has very basic movies that he makes. I think my favorite one is The Abyss. And it's kind of, he almost stays away from the Christopher Nolan thing where he takes it like just beyond ridiculous and to some crazy conclusion.
Almost. And then the aliens.
The aliens. And you're like, so close.
We were almost there.
He's done so many classics that it's like, I mean, how many, like...
What does he have left to prove?
Yeah, how many movies can he write that have to be good when we can just let him do beautiful movies? Avatar 1 was beautiful. Mm-hmm. And that's all it needed to be, was beautiful, and just have a compelling enough storyline that you were willing to watch it in between the CGI sequences.
Well, and I think that's accurate because I think that's kind of how people in general view this movie. like critically, it has about a 69% nice approval rating, and audiences have about an 81% approval rating, meaning
Mhm.
8.1 out of 10 kind of stuff. And I don't think James Cameron cares. James Cameron has said that he's prepared to end the series after the third Avatar movie if Way of Water isn't profitable, because
Yep.
he's acknowledging of that, which I think is wild because I think Disney would like to say, "Whoa, hold on there! Like we're still going to pump out like 100 of these things, right? Come on, come
Hey,
on."
look, you know how close Atlantis is to Avatar? They could change that whole theme park into something brand new.
Well, and I want to talk about the technology side of things because so much money went into the actual tech and R&D for this film to get this movie actually made that I feel like that has paved the way now for so many other movies that we're about to see come out of the Disney Fox studio, because now they have it. Like they can actually get it made now. They know how to do it.
Well, and I mean, that's kind of the benefit of, Lord of the Rings was a technical marvel that did amazing things with what we had. And James Cameron is like kind of cashing in on the 20 years. I mean, it's not been 20 years since
13 years.
It's been 13 years since Lord of the Rings. Sorry. It felt like
an FLDS child bride age amount of time has passed.
Oh, God.
Between
yeah,
Avatar
it's been a
movies.
decade. It's been a decade, and James Cameron, like, the technology wasn't there for Lord of the Rings. There was lots of CGI, but like, now you take a film and you do it where your main characters are never out of green screen.
Yeah. I mean,
and it is not a Marvel movie. Okay, let me be very clear. Critics gave it a 69 because it's not a Marvel movie. Fuck them bitches. Okay? You want to go see a movie? You go watch Avatar 2 Way of the Water.
Well, and I do want to talk about that a little bit, though, because like I feel like there are real people in this movie, not non-CGI actors, but I feel like they are only there to highlight how seamless the world is, because it doesn't look like it's green screen, that you can't even find a fucking seam on it. I don't even know if those were real people or if they just animated over those people.
They were also
I mean, what's real, what's not real? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it blows my mind when I try and think about it, because like there's a small human character that is next to these Avatar creatures, and it looks natural. It like engaging and interacting with the world and everything else that's in there. And I feel like that is him just flexing on all of us.
Are we talking about the technical part of it right now?
Again, I didn't want to immediately,
look. The entire 3 hours of the movie, I sat with my jaw open, trying to absorb every every particle of light that was emitting from that screen, because it was so good. And I'm going to go see it again tomorrow. Or day after tomorrow. Okay? James Cameron has my money. There are the first 2 hours of the movie, there are like 2 instances where maybe like some reflection was a little weird that I noticed. Maybe 3, okay? And the entire movie is animated front to back.
Yeah, it really is. Like, again, it's a marvel. It's a technical marvel of a film, because I mean, we can go into the plot a little bit of like, oh, well, Jake Sully has a family now, and the humans are back, but they're trying to colonize. So then, they're
colonizing again, but like with the more ships this time.
Yeah, and so then conflict emerges. Jake and his family have to leave their clan and go to the Water Clan, and you learn all about that. And then they have to go fight the bad guys in the big sequence. Like, it's a very paint by numbers kind of sequel. I liked how it's paced, though, because of what it showed everyone a little bit.
Yes.
Because if the first Avatar movie was asking us, oh, have you considered saving the rainforest? Well, Avatar The Way of Water is demanding that we save the whales in just the most bombastic, epic way possible. Because it's half nature documentary and half blockbuster. And it's just a 3-hour dive into the world of Pandora with, I mean, if I'm speaking about it, it's probably one of the best third acts I can remember that comes to mind right now.
I want to watch a James Cameron documentary on the nature of Pandora. There was so much. If you have played Subnautica the game, this is Subnautica the movie.
That's all. We think James Cameron is a fan of the ocean. He's just a fan of Subnautica. That's it. That's all it is.
That was his inspiration for this film. There is Subnautica is one of those games that I would take a brain wipe just so I could play Subnautica again. I would forget everyone. I would not have anything left, but they would be able to sit me down in front of Subnautica and I could play it again for the first time. I would do that for Avatar: Way of the Water.
Well, because it's such a nice world. It's fully fleshed out.
The
makes
animation
sense.
doesn't cut corners because everything is so populated.
Because that's the main character. The world is the main character.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, in comics, there's a phrase with Marvel that's like, oh, well, New York is a character unto itself. And I think, well, Pandora is a character unto itself.
And it was so nice for that to be the character, not Chris Pratt making a joke every 15 seconds.
Wahoo! Indeed. Just thinking about what was able to be accomplished here with this film, and I'm realizing it's because he's a singular director who has this amount of pull in the industry, and it's not a committee of MBAs looking and trying to, figure out, well, what does the market feel like we can dictate? What type of runtime is optimized to get the most amount of seats into the theater? Like that's not a consideration at this point. You have a director of his caliber making a true 4-quadrant blockbuster, because I feel like Nolan even isn't a true 4-quadrant director. Like he makes movies for adults, and I think that's fine. But Avatar: The Way of Water truly is something you could take the whole family to go see, and everyone will get a slightly different experience, and they'll enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I mean, maybe they'll enjoy. There is a scene where a cable just brutally just rips a man's arm off, and then you see someone else take a giant arrow into their eye socket.
Mm-hmm.
But
the whole theater clapped for that.
We'll get to it. Actually, no, let's talk about it right now.
No, we'll get to it. Yeah, and also James Cameron isn't doing like foot fetish films like Tarantino does. He's not doing he's not like trying to write overly complicated fic like Nolan does.
Yeah, he's not trying to trick the audience or, like you said, show how clever he is. He's just saying, look at how fucking awesome this is to look at. Because, like, the spectacle is the focus of it. So, like, we get, like, random 5-minute detours so we can look at how beautiful the environment is, or like we can focus on the solar eclipse and seeing how the sun hits a body of water. Like, I was like, this is fake. What I'm looking at is fake, but it looks real, and
there's too
feels
much
real
to get the first time. You're staring at like the like light hitting the ocean. I'm staring at like the way the waves are like hitting the sand and the water is like
the
moving.
Texture of the fish, Zach.
The texture of the fish, the details of the fish, every little bit of it moving like totally naturally. Like the way everything moves totally naturally. There's not a sense of animation in any of it.
No, and what makes that
not even Planet of the Apes could reach that kind of natural movement with all of their.
Agree to disagree. No, it's absolutely. But weirdly enough, Weta Digital is the same effects studio, so like
how far they've gone.
I mean, they're the ones who also were the effects studio for Lord of the Rings, so they've been the god tier level studio for a while now.
We don't talk about She-Hulk.
No, well, yeah, we don't need to really. No one really needs to. I'm not even sure She-Hulk needs to.
Oh,
But the other thing, or rather, like the reason it's so important to talk about why he focuses on this awesome world is so wonderful is because all of that is in service of then providing the necessary emotional weight and gravitas that is required for when the third act kicks in, and then we cheer for the ocean, for a fucking whale to do hilarious just damage and wreak chaos on these evil hyper capitalists and make them atone for their crimes against nature with a fury that's just downright biblical. Like when that whale goes apeshit on that ship, the entire audience was just roaring when that happened. It was insane to me to feel a crowd of people in super conservative Texas be like, yeah, fuck that whaling ship, destroy it.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you have an extremely valuable substance, but it doesn't matter because you're about to murder fuck this entire ship. How many people are on board it? We don't care.
It's so good to be exploring around and seeing what's happening, because again that moment of when you feel the force of nature happen, but it feels like a force of nature, not just a visual effects spectacle.
Yeah, it's not, oh, wow, we ran into, this thing and he just happened to be here right when we need him. It's 2.5 hours of developing relationships and developing context around all these different things that have happened.
Yes, and again, these moments that take place, like when the Na'vi are talking to each other, when the fucking Battlefield Earth looking kid spider is just, acting like a feral child running around and shit. Like, it all just kind of culminates into feeling like a real place where all of these stories can happen. It's a sandbox. Right?
Yeah.
Like these are all of James Cameron's toys, and he spent a fair amount of time getting things set up. But man, once it hits, it fucking goes.
Look, I hate to say that, like, every movie now to me feels like a D&D campaign, and I judge it off of what it would be like as a D&D campaign. But Pandora is his homebrew, and Jake Sully is like one of these main characters that he gets to build. We saw level 1 through 5 on Avatar 1. Now he's level 5 through 10 in Avatar 2. And he's getting help along the way because, there's a little bit of payoff for him, being in this wonderful world with all these vibrant other characters. He didn't even have to be the main character in this story.
Yeah, because he's not. It's about his family that, like, again, people are criticizing, why is this spending so much time in nature? Well, because the third act's about how important nature is. Why is the first 2/3 of the movie focusing so much on Jake Sully's family? Because it's trying to show how important it is. Like,
literally, Act 1. This family is a fortress. He tells it to your fucking face, you moron.
I just don't think it's cool. Like, why would he, try and run away so that way then he could try and protect his family? I don't know. Maybe just because he was making a judgment call. Like, he's not exactly known as being the smartest guy on the planet.
Like, he's a Marine. He's a jarhead. He's kind of, I don't know, kind of dummy.
I love how they brought back Stephen Lang's character, by the way, as an avatar. And it took him about 30 seconds to be like, oh my God, I'm a demon, to be like, actually, this is pretty fucking sick. Yeah, I could get used to this.
Like, oh God, the whole sequence with all of that was payoff.
I love how the fights are brutal. I feel like that's something that is missing so much in so many movies these days. Is PG-13 I think we've forgotten what PG-13 level violence actually is, which
Yeah.
is like you shoot a lot of people. There's no blood. There's no real effect of anything. It's kind of like a video game.
There's
you know,
not
speed
like
run.
red blood everywhere. There's like blood squirts that are kind of in shadow a little bit.
Yeah, I mean a little bit. Yeah,
And
there's a lot
like
of like
squelchy sounds.
hitting someone and then like they crumple down. You don't really get the full just brutality of what of like what a hatchet to the skull would sound like or act like, but you see Jake Sully do it to someone in like the first 10 minutes of this movie.
Yep.
And you're like, all right, then.
We're used to Thor hitting people with his hammer, Mjolnir, which literally moves the universe around the hammer and then slams it into someone.
Yeah, again, that's actually a great example, Zach, because that would be like in a Marvel movie. If you get hit with Thor's hammer, you go like flying back 10 feet, and like on a stunt level, that's pretty cool. But from a world building perspective, it should just implode your chest and then rip your rib cage out from you.
Thor is just basically tapping you with something that is more massive than the entire universe. Like, the fact that it's moving towards you at all is terrifying.
God.
Like, that should just instantly melt you. Like, the heat generated by moving that much mass. But, you know, physics aside. Like, he hits you, you get knocked back, haha, this is a Marvel movie. Yeah, in this one, you get, like, arrows go into you, and, like...
and they're a fucking problem. Like...
These are pharaohs as tall as humans.
Well, I mean, but like even bullets, like if you get hit, like it stays with you and you're kind of limping and moving along and stuff. Like people get exhausted by it. Bad guys who take damage aren't fine. Like the next scene, like, everyone's just again taking fatigue and is trying to just make it to the end of the movie, basically. Like that's what made the ending fight between Jake and Quaritch, whatever his name is. It doesn't matter.
I don't remember his name,
but
it doesn't matter to
like,
me.
It's what made their fight so bizarre to me to witness, because like it was intense and it was brutal, but it was also kind of sloppy. Like like it's two men.
They're both tired.
Yeah,
so
it's two men in a sinking ship fighting to what is going to be the death. Like,
yeah, I wanted it to be more brutal. I wanted it to be like rock to the back of the head, kind of.
You got to maintain that PG-13 rating, and also
I know.
James Cameron's preserving Stephen Lang for Avatar 3, baby.
Yeah,
come on
it
now.
was very like Terminator. It was very. I haven't seen the latest Predators.
That can mean anything at this point, because there's Predators, there's The Predator, then there's Prey. All came out like within the past decade. So
God, I fucking hate that. Predators, whatever one was released. I thought there was one released this year.
Prey.
Sorry. Predators was 2010.
Yeah.
Prey. I haven't seen Prey, so I can't judge.
I really liked it. I mean,
it's where we are with action. Because we haven't had that the Predator franchise is kind of like, I guess in my mind, the thing that should be a gauge for action and like what a generic fight looks like, kind of. Am I wrong for that?
I mean, I think so, but that's fine.
Okay. What do you think of measure for like
John Wick? The hand-to-hand fighting style in
that's immaculate. I guess that's true. That's a little bit. John Wick also almost feels like too much action. Like it's specifically going for like.
Oh yeah, I just meant like from the fighting
scene.
Style, not necessarily like the pacing.
Do you think that's what it should be? It should all be John Wick.
I think that kind of fighting style is superior, and it's more reflective of two highly physical combatants. Like in my head, but again, right. I'm not trying.
I think John Wick is where action should be. I think the Predators franchise is kind of always tracked where generic action is.
I mean, I like the first Predator movie a lot because once you strip the Predator away of all of his toys, Arnold kind of just hands it to him pretty easily because he's a trophy hunter, not an actual warrior. So
exactly. He's used to having technological superiority.
Yeah. And I mean, I understand people could argue about like, oh, well, what about then in the final fight, Jake Sully versus the Colonel? How's that kind of pair up? Like, Jake Sully's been in his body now for like 15 years.
Well, and the Colonel's not casting into a body, though. He's not using a mech now.
Yeah.
He's, living in this
crab
body.
mechs. Sorry, don't mean to interrupt.
They were so cool.
So sick.
I don't know how you move in them, but they were so cool.
I loved how lazy they were with mechs. Like how mechs were just so common, like the general drinking her coffee with it.
Yes. They're much better with the mechs now. I mean, it's been 15 years, so I guess it makes sense that there'd be some advancement with them. But yeah, it was a very nice touch to see that they're just like they develop even more. Like, instead of being this weird thing where they had didn't they have like a training sequence in Avatar?
A little bit, but I mean that was just
where he was trying to get used to the mech a little bit. Like,
oh well, not the mech, no, in the body. I meant
okay,
but
yeah. That's right. The body had a training sequence, and then when he was born in the body, he was just like totally fine from the get-go.
Again, 30 seconds being like, all right, cool.
We're the baddies now? No, we're still the goodies. Nice.
I mean, I'll take it, I guess. I also liked how earnest this film was. Like, there wasn't a obligatory comedy character that I feel is standard now in Marvel movies, where it's like, have one character just make the soy face over and over again.
Over and over, yeah.
Someone to go like, it's so crazy that blah, 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 blah is happening. Or are you meaning to tell me that blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah? Because it is so abundantly straightforward. It is, because you don't need to talk about how important the ocean is, because we just spent 20 minutes going around the ocean and witnessing like Susan Sarandon's character become like an ocean fairy with the jellyfish wings.
Yes.
Like,
do you know how nice it is to have a movie breathe and not do just like lore dump segue to action scene?
I'm trying to remember another film that actually breathes like that, and
you haven't seen one.
I mean, I have
in so long. In so long.
Trying to think.
I mean, even Interstellar does like smash cuts.
Listen, I think we just have a weakness for Interstellar.
Why is it the first thing that popped in my head? I don't know.
I was thinking like Matt Reeves' The Batman is another one I like, but that's literally built on explanations of things because it's a mystery. So that's fair. Apply.
The Akira, the anime film.
Sure, yeah, if that came out.
The 1988 movie.
Okay, well, no, that doesn't count.
Are we talking about movies from this year?
Yeah. Working our way backwards. What was the most recent movie you saw that also, breathed like this? Again, but it's fine. So.
Bullet Train was kind of smash cut.
See, I haven't seen Bullet Train, but I want to. So
it was fun.
Yeah. Director of a John Wick, I believe.
So. Yeah, it was very nice. I liked it. It was tidy. I wouldn't say it breathed, but it definitely wasn't rushed. So that was nice.
Good.
It's okay. We can move on. I watched Knives Out recently. Knives Out.
I really enjoy this.
Built on explaining things, but it also like
that's the issue with mystery stuff. Though, so I feel like that's a genre we can't pull. It's okay though, because I want to get to the the star, the favorite
that's
part.
Fine. That's fine. Yes.
The technology, Zach. The fucking technology to make this thing possible. I want to take you back to 2013. Okay, James Cameron, armed with thousands of pages of notes for the world of Pandora, went to his R&D people and explain like what he's wanting to do for his sequel. And they said, well, we don't have the technology to capture performances underwater. And so then they had to build it. Like Avatar: The Way of Water is a diving movie because they put all of the actors in mocap suits actually underwater to then do all of the scenes, Zach. Like they didn't hang them on a string and then have like a fan blow in their hair. Like they actually did it all underwater.
Mocap is the foundation of like the next thing of art, because AI doesn't know how to make things look natural, and humans are very bad at making animated things look natural even after hundreds of hours spent animating them.
I'm begging Andy Serkis to please work with James Cameron.
Oh my god, please.
Just please, something. Because like when James Cameron dies, the only person who I trust to inherit the mantle of mocap is Andy Serkis.
That's totally fair, yeah. This is like, again, there's not a point where anything feels fake. The only thing for the first 2 hours of the movie, like, let's ignore the fight scenes a little bit, because those were shot like fucking video game cutscenes. They were insane. The first 2 hours of the movie.
Do you know why the frame rates changed during that?
I swore to God the frame rates were fucking all over the place in that.
It's because they kept telling James Cameron that the human eye refused to accept it.
No,
like as being real. Yeah,
I play video games at like 150 frames per second. No, I know when it's at that high frame rate, it does look a little bit worse. You can detect smaller like changes in it, so I can understand that it makes the action look really good in that shot. But then when you want to like when you're not actively stabbing someone, it doesn't look as good. I was totally okay with that because I would prefer to have a clear shot of the action over a blur of like motion blurred mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I get that, and I agree with some of that, but definitely I can see frame rate at this point in my life. Still, I'm not too old for that yet. And it was just like 60 frames, 20 frames, 60 frames, 20 frames. It was just like, oh my goodness. Okay then.
But I mean, like in an era where we're doing visual effects for everything, the fact that that's like the biggest quibble with it, of like sometimes the frame rates were a little, off in some areas, is fantastic for me. Because, like, again, when they were describing what they needed to do for the camera, they also found out that shooting dry and shooting wet with that camera wouldn't work. So then they had to redesign the entire camera.
Well, I mean, yeah, you put it in a big bubble so that it can film underwater. It's not even the underwater part that is bad. It's the how do we get dots to stay on your face underwater this whole time? And then also, how do we do the caption where all of the all of the sensors that you have to have around to track you through 3-dimensional space can also pick you up, because those have to go underwater and be waterproof and send signal back.
I'm waiting for that Sharpie commercial, being like, when James Cameron needed dots on someone's face, there was no brand he trusted. It just, was one of those things of where, of the 3,240 effect shots that Weta Digital did, 2,225 of them involved water.
Well, yeah, because, everything else was pretty straightforward, but then, like, the ones that took all the time...
because it still wasn't real. It still had to be generated.
There was still only one human in it the whole time.
Sometimes two, arbitrarily.
Okay, the fact that Jake Sully was never out of Avatar form. The fact that his entire family, all avatars, never out of Avatar form. There was never like a break from avatars for a second. There's not a scene in that movie where there is not an avatar.
It's so good.
And if not one, no, there's also 100 of them at a time, and creatures, and water, and everything under the water. and wind.
I just
Did you
love this
account
movie
for
so
the
much.
sun and the rotation of Pandora and the gravity of Pandora's moon?
When they are on the beach, like, or when they're leaving the forest and they're arriving on the beach, that water freaked me out because of how real it looked. I could not accept, like, my brain was having a hard time because, like, when then you see like the teenage daughter come up out of the water, I was like, oh, like, that looks a little weird, like the her coming up out of the water. And then I realized what was weird. It was because my brain was like, that's a fake person coming out of real water. No, wait, that water is also fake. Oh God, everything I'm looking at, nothing is real in it.
The best shot is the final shot at the end when they are all pushing the floaty with all the flowers in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like all candle lit.
Yeah.
And there's water like going in and out because the little floating thing is like kind of tipping and tilting, and it's changing where the flowers are going in there. I was staring again. 90% of this movie, my mouth was literally open. I could not keep. I was literally mouth agape the whole time, just like staring at this screen. The 3D, insane. I've never seen better 3D. I don't know.
It was treated truly like 3 dimensions. Like, you saw depth in addition to stuff jutting out. Like, it was.
Yeah. I don't know how they did that. Like, I've never seen,
because it's a new camera, Zach. Because he made a goddamn camera.
He did. Every shot was layered. There was stuff in the foreground. There was stuff in the background. There was stuff passing between you and the camera that was just totally out of focus. Just extra texture everywhere. Just he did everything that he could to make this the movie.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to wait so long for the sequel
because it's gonna take so long to render. Yeah, like everyone underwater, like doing that stuff. Like, the movies are face acting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Academy Awards are given out based off of like face acting,
and
how well your face does what you want it to do, and how well your body does what the director wants it to do. Yep. And they translated that from human to not human.
Yeah,
they translated every bit of that to these avatars, for lack of a better word, that these people were wearing. And I mean, mocap has been amazing since Polar Express for me.
Well, okay, agree to disagree. Those Uncanny Valley people give me nightmares sometimes.
I don't mind the Uncanny Valley that much, just because it's interesting to actually see an actor in that animated way that is not like a Pixar film.
Yeah.
That's not a DreamWorks film. And we have to give James Cameron all of the movie money.
Well,
like,
yeah.
What other movie do you want to see now?
I don't know. The trailer for Across the Spider-Verse kind of looked dope.
I mean, okay. The Ant-Man Quantum
Quantumania, yeah.
Quantumania, yeah. That was kind of cool, I will admit.
The Spy Kids 3 element of that film is not lost on me, but
I don't want you to run this for me.
It's fine. You watching Avatar 2 and then watching Ant-Man Quantumania will on its own.
That's true. Yeah, no,
but
Avatar 2 has ruined me. Again, I'm going to go see it a second time.
Though, sorry,
I'm going to buy it in 4K. I'm going to see it a second time. I'm going to buy it in 4K. I'm going to buy it on 4K disc, and I'm going to watch it.
God,
it's going to make Ashley cry because, of course, all of the animal stuff makes her cry.
Yeah. Oh man, the whales. Oh God, the whales. Just again, when that one, they're like, it's a murderer whale. What happened? Well, he decided to fight against the human beings, and then all of his family, all of his tribe got killed. Do you get it? Do you get the analogy that sometimes it's better to run away than to try and engage in a prolonged war against something? Huh? It's such a complex movie. I'm not sure that we get it yet.
Dude, I don't think we get it, James Cameron. Like, what's that being outcast for fighting for what's right?
Huh. And yeah, just God, when the whale goes,
when the
whale becomes Titanic meets Jaws, that's what happens.
That's true. The Jaws sequence of this film, amazing. When the Titanic sequence of this film, even better. just the little scene where he just like uses his forehead and dink, like, oh god, that got me so good.
Yeah. Who's got the harpoon now? Huh?
I don't understand how anyone could hate this movie. If you hate this movie, get at us in the comments.
I mean, it's one of those things of where it's like the plot. I understand that people wanted more from the plot. Totally get it. The technical side of it, though, is like a 14 out of 10 for me, and so it's literally something I haven't seen before. It's something that hasn't been done before, and it's something that won't be done for another like 5 years.
Yeah. How do you do Aquaman underwater? He has to talk underwater.
Yeah. Like the Mission Impossible from a couple of years ago, Tom Cruise set the record for like how long he had to hold his breath to try and get a shot done, right? Kate Blanchett broke that record for this movie. And people were like, oh, why are they having to do that? Because it's a diving movie, basically. And after James Cameron almost killed Ed Harris, you know, he wanted to make sure. So, again, it's so positive in one aspect that I have no choice, really, but to go, yeah, I love this. Even if I thought the plot was okay. You know, like it's just the other aspect to it. So,
you mean Kate Winslet, right?
Kate Winslet. I'm sorry. Did I say Kate Blanchett?
You said Kate Blanchett. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, sorry.
I knew something. It was bugging me. Yeah. No. Not only like technical, like, wow, we built an entire new camera. Wow, we did like, you know, all new animation with all this stuff. It was also like, wow, these actors also pulled off something insane.
Yeah. When you get to that point, I feel like when you take off your 3D glasses and you have to go step outside back into the real world,
it doesn't look as real.
You're like, put me back. Put me back in. I will eat the bugs. I will live in the pod. Please. I want to go back to Pandora. Send me back to Pandora.
Yeah, Zoe Saldana was really trying to get killed in Guardians of the Galaxy so that she could just go back to James Cameron.
Please.
Put me weeping.
Put me in another $1 billion movie. And who knows? I'm not sure. What's weird is like I'm not sure if this movie is going to make yeah, I don't think it's going to make as much as the first one, but like, I'm not sure if it's going to make, you know, even like 1.5 billion, you know?
Like, that's sad.
I mean, it's fine. It's the way it goes.
That's true. It's true. It is the way it goes. I wanted to do so well because of how good I think it is.
Yeah. I mean, the main reason being is like, I think it's insane for any movie to be like, well, yeah, I mean, we got to make like $2 billion to break even. It's like, okay, all right, sure, you do.
James Cameron has released so many hits. He is leaving a legacy with these films, is what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I think that it's worth it to drain the studio of a little bit of funds. They can run some Marvel movies back or whatever. You know, they can do what they got to do to make their money, but James Cameron leaving a legacy for us is more important.
Really and truly, it is. Like, best case scenario, we get 5 more Avatar movies. Worst case scenario, Disney gets less money. Like,
oh no!
I'll take it. A good deal. Leftist icon James Cameron making a great movie that bombs at the box office.
Working from the inside, okay? just needs one more Disney board member and he'll have a majority.
Well, okay, I think that's going to be an episode, so we're going to call it there. This is the Patreon, so obviously if you guys are listening to this, you're already supporting the show. Thank you so much for doing that. That really kind of helps us out, enables all of our other hobbies that we do for this thing. So, bye.
Later.